Hi, YouTube. How are you doing? I'm going to talk today about narcissists again, the difference between calculated measures that they take and manipulation and uh, their need to strike out at other human beings when they're having a rotten day. Okay, I was watching this morning. Um, it's Professor Sam Vaknin, and not all people are the same, so I can't say that his narcissism is like maybe like Doug's is. Like Doug had a really rotten day yesterday and had to express that onto somebody else. These people are not childlike like Professor Sam professes. Um, maybe, and he says these actions that they do, like conditioning and reinforcing their conditioning onto other people, are like an unconscious thing. I'm going to explain to you why that is not true, and why in my 6 decades being an expert on narcissism, because this manipulation and control is what I was born into and divorced myself out of. If some of you are new here, I took the Masons to court after running away multiple times. I couldn't even count them. I started when I was 5 trying to run away. I finally had the ability to take them to court and get myself emancipated as an adult when I was still a teenager. I started the paperwork at 15. Well, yeah, I am, like, I haven't run across these narcissists my entire life, you know? Yeah, I have, and I know them very well, not just one. And maybe within Professor Sam's intellect, maybe some of his actions are foggy, but that's not what it is with these true manipulative narcissists. And I'm going to give you proof on why this is a fact, that they know what they're doing. They absolutely know calculated moves what they're doing. Cheers, everybody. I hope your day is going good and really quick, or not so quick. It's on my mind. 007 over in the Canary Islands. I hope Elfie is going to be okay. His dog started bleeding out of his nose while he was on a live stream with somebody, and he didn't recognize it right away. It had happened a few months back here, too, to the dog, but I think we all thought that he was sort of over it. I'm thinking, I can't prove, but maybe the electronics in the air for all the animals. I think animals have been, my horse, my dog, and my cat all died within 6 months of each other 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I really, I could see by their actions that it didn't seem natural. And like, okay, my cat and my horse were older, but my dog was thoroughly unexpected when she started um, not eating and vomiting and getting dizzy and, that type of thing. Um, like she actually, it seemed like she had been poisoned. So I don't know. And I've heard other people talking about these types of things, and it could very well be the electronics. I see. I took the dog food out of her life pretty early and started just cooking for her. Like I'd take a breast of chicken and some potatoes or bread and vegetables, whatever I was eating, my dog ate, which was pretty healthy, you know. So, anyway. And we might have some noise, but I'll work through it with you. These people, the people that label themselves handicapped because of a mental impairment, have degrees in universities. They teach at universities. They have mental capacity to excel where other people don't. And their calculations when going in to something for themselves that they want to achieve, there is no mental barrier on their intellect. Childlike or evil? That is the question that we're going to answer here today. And yes, I've taken psychology too through my nursing studies. So and beyond. I was reading psych books when I was a little kid. Oops, just a minute. Excuse me a moment. I just dropped my cell phone. Not too far, luckily. But okay, just a sec here. Sorry. um like I say, when they go to do something that's important for themselves, they have self-restraint like no other person on this planet. They'll sit and they'll calculate something all night long to throw a wrench in somebody else's gears just for the fun of it, just for the pain that they can cause another person. And you can say that it could be spur of the moment, that they don't know what they're doing. Now, a child's impulsive, but a narcissist is not. I mean, they can be. They could be more on the sadistic scale and more like a psychopath. But because, there's different traits in the cluster B personality traits that they merge into one another. Like if you were like a covert narcissist, you could be like a dependent borderline and have a lot of those traits also, meaning that you're borderline psychotic and you have personality traits that um, make you more narcissistic because you're covert. You're actually one of the worst narcissists out there pretending that you're not. Least Professor Sam says up straight. But I am not the only healthcare professional that believes like I do. That this is not childlike actions. These are self-centered. Unless you have a head injury and you've gone through college and you can make your way in life and you can function out in society and excel, you're capable of making day-to-day choices that can either enhance your life or not. And this is a fact. Now, a child isn't going to, a 3-year-old child that these narcissists profess that their mind is like a 3-year-old child. When I went to the university, I didn't see any 3-year-olds there. Well, I might have in the commons area if their mothers brought them there, like in between classes or something. But I never saw one sitting in the classroom with us. Not ever. No, because their mental faculties aren't capable of doing that. Adults can, but little people, nah, not so much, right? It'd take a heck of a genius, even a 9-year-old would have a hard time functioning in a university setting, wouldn't they? Yeah. I think I've proven my point, but it's like if you have a boss and you would like to say something nasty to him, and you might, that wouldn't make you a narcissist. But if you withheld those feelings, it's a calculated decision. How do I approach this subject? It's like parties I've talked about that I have left that weren't to my liking because of people's looseness in their minds. I just can't deal with it. I cannot deal with it. That's me being able to decipher. These people go into situations like that knowing full well how they're going to act in a group setting, no matter where they are, or whether it's a personal thing like having a bad day and having to have that certain special person that you think is going to put up with your shit and not do or say anything about it. But on your part, that's your calculated move. That's your manipulation. That's your adult mind jacking another person around. And manipulation, yeah, kids can do it, like playing one parent against the other. Um, but even a child knows that they're doing that, you know? When they sit in their little rooms and they want to go do something, and they might ask dad or they might ask mom, but they know the kid can calculate um, what to do or say with either parent and sort of okay what I would do that I did do a couple times and it worked quite well was I'd go to my mom and say if dad says I can go ice skating, will you agree? See what your father says. So I go up to my dad and say, mom said to see what you'd say if it was yes, I could go ice skating and let you know what you said, let her know what you said, something like that. And then I go back to my mom and say, Dad said, if you say yeah, it's yeah, or something like that. So, I mean, that's manipulation. That's playing one parent against the other. I don't know if they ever got together and talked about these things that I would do to them, but I knew full well what I was doing, even as a child, you know? And I am not a narcissist. I'm just intelligent. Um, and so are they. And they're not children. They're adults that go through life, making their way in life, playing the field I mean, as far as intellectually, just like the rest of us do. We go out there and we function in our daily lives. When we meet people, we have the opportunity to be a pleasant human being or not, you know, and so do they. And they do. If they want to excel in an area, they're not gonna piss off the boss, they're gonna suck up, just like the love bombing stage. Um, if they wanna be a pleasant person, um, and they're really not, they'll if they want something out of you, they're gonna know what to say and do to get that out of you. That's highly intelligent, you know? Of course, they may think they're getting something from you, excuse me, and you're way ahead of the game. Because quite frankly had people um absolutely curse my children and I. and my family, that relationship, and um, the people responsible for that negative darkness that they portrayed on me and actually did physical and emotional things to us, um, to contribute, they hoped, to our demise. They knew full well what they were doing. That's evil. That's not childlike. That's demonstrative. That's calculated. You know. Maybe in Professor Sam's mind, maybe he actually has the fog of a childlike mind. Maybe he actually has a physical impediment, a head injury, or something that had happened to him in the past, because it's just like two kids that grow up in the same family suffering the same abuse. Not both of them become psychotic or narcissistic. You know, what makes one child's trauma any less than another's in that same given situation? You know, it's the mind, it's the entitlement that these monsters acquire for themselves. They feel entitled. Even when I was playing my parents against each other, I didn't feel entitled. I knew it wasn't the right thing to do. I knew that. Of course, you know that shit, even when you're a kid. If you go and steal a cookie or whatever, you know what you're doing. You sure do. Even if you're not a narcissist. Like one time, okay, it's a true story. My brother and I were in an argument and he was choking me. So I kicked the wall with my heel. I couldn't get loose. I was trying to find some leverage, but I just kicked it with my heel and my heel went through the wall. That was my first drywall repair job. I actually owned a drywall company, but that was my first repair job. And with that, I ended up having to paint the whole kitchen a new color, which wasn't a really big deal. But, um, okay, within that argument, okay, this person that called himself my brother was, when I was 9, he was well over 6 feet tall. He is a very, very tall person. The people that raised me are very big people. And when that happened, I got my ass beat. Um, but I didn't just let it go. I don't let things go. So I just waited a while. And there was this piece of beef that was in the refrigerator. And my mom had told me to leave it alone, that it was for my dad's lunch. But I ate it anyway, on purpose, because then I knew he wouldn't be getting the sandwich that he wanted for that day out of that meat. I mean, maybe it wasn't the right thing to do, but I didn't want to be there anyway. These people picked me. I didn't pick them. It wasn't the other way around. When I just don't suffer abuse for free, is what I'm trying to get at. You just don't do shit to me and get away with it. Even after I had emancipated the Masons, I tried to get them into counseling and they would not come. Boy, I was gonna lay them fuckers out in front of a professional and dissect them right on the spot in a family meeting, but they wouldn't do it. They wanted rights to see my children and pretend that they had grandchildren. Even chubby little thing that raised me, well, very big actually, um, loved that she was chubby and could pretend that she actually had children through her body and had to maintain that after that. Yeah, she loved it. I can be fat. I have kids. Okay, chubby bubby, you know. How about these men that say they have like sympathy pains or they have like cravings when you're pregnant? Oh, you're craving pickles and ice cream. Isn't that cute? And you just gained 40 pounds? Wow, you're extraordinary, you know? So anyway, I just wanted to make a point that although I actually did get attacked last night, like from this retarded type of shit, and I never know when it's going to happen, and it always does a little bit every day. It's something abnormally weird that normal people actually don't do, but they are adults, they are not children, and they know full well what they're doing. They may not understand the depth of the ramifications of what they're doing, that they think, okay, they think on a scale of a week ahead or something, when I was thinking a lifetime ahead. There's a kind of a difference there, but you wouldn't be able to tell them that because they're far too intelligently entitled to their little funky ways. Like I say, if they have some kind of a head injury, and I know Doug has too, but it's still not excusable. I got my head cracked, cracked in the back of my head, right down the back of my head. Big old in my skull. And I've had my temples hit. I've been totally in brutalized. There's hardly a spot on my body that has not been injured by other people. I've had my face bitten. I've had some really, really weird things happen to me in my life. But as far as head injuries are go, it it used to bleed. Of course, I went to the hospital, but there's not really much they can do for like a concussion or whatever. And you could tell people that you like actually died, and they say, well, if your soul doesn't leave your body, did you actually die? Well, I don't know the few times that I can actually say that I didn't feel like I was inside myself. I can't prove that to anybody, so you know that you if you've been through it, you know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't actually lived through that or died through it, whichever, you can't explain it to other people because they've never really felt that. So anyway, but so what I'm trying to say is even when my head was bleeding and if I was around like really loud voices hollering and that type of thing, um, it would start to bleed again inside there. I could have used, and I would get angry, and I could have used it for an excuse to punish other people that really had absolutely no um, connection with what had happened to me. It's like when you have to remind somebody, I am not your mother, you already have a problem, you know. Besides that, how gross is that that an adult man would treat a woman that is not his mother like his mother? What kind of messed up um, psychotic thinking is going on inside there? Ew, you know? If I'm going to do a number on somebody, I'm going to tell them I am going to, and then they'll just have to wait for when I do that. I've already implemented certain steps within Doug's life. He's caught like a snake, and there's nothing he can do but shed his skin and grow or die. The snake that can't shed his skin will die. So you have two options on this planet: shed your skin or and grow, or die within the confinements of that. And that's the truth. If we based who's entitled to treat other people poorly on this planet judged by the pain people suffer, and this is how most people act, entitled like that, based on the amount of pain that they've suffered and what they can put on to another person by way of punishment. Children do not think like that. So comparing a narcissist to a child, of course it's a mental illness. I can't prove evil, so we'll just call it mentally insane, right? But you still got degrees and you're still out there teaching like a doctor in a professional setting, controlling yourself on a daily basis until you don't, until the door's closed. And you're with your special victim because um, the dean at the university gave you a bad look or whatever. Maybe the little cashier at the grocery store didn't smile at you just the right way, or God knows what, what's gonna trigger these people, you know. Probably not acting like their slave will trigger them because they do want to feel entitled. I don't have a problem treating somebody like a king if they act like one, but when they don't, you're going to find out how much of a pauper you actually are. And I'll be the first one to point it out to you. I'll dig it out of you and I'll display it for the world to see. Because you're not going to play this game and say that narcissists are children. No, they are not. I'm totally sane. I can act psychotic. If you're a narcissist, you can act normal. You just pick and choose when you want to or when you don't want to. Children do not have that ability. When children make mistakes, they usually correct them. And they know when they do naughty things. Of course they do, if they've been instructed the right way, even within their own hearts and souls if they haven't been. You know what's right and wrong and good and bad on this planet. And bad people are not children. They may act childlike. It's like these stupid posts like calling women older, like senior women, queen agers. No, we're older women. Accept who you are and grow up, you know? You're not a teenager. If you would want to stay as a teenager, you have major psychological problems and you don't love yourself at all. That's so rude. Queenager. Hmm. How do you make a friend as an adult woman, an older adult woman, with somebody that considers themselves a queenager? That would be totally impossible. If their mind isn't growing as a matriarch on this planet, where's the hope for the next generation? If we can't show people how to live a healthier life emotionally with emotional stability, if you can't do that for yourself, how can you ever help another person? First, you gotta realize that adults are not children and make that distinction. Even within yourself, be honest with yourself. If you have the ability to have a emotional and physical relationship with a person on this planet and make decisions in that area, which is a very important area, no matter who we combine our DNA with, if you can determine whether it's promiscuous or serious relationship, whatever, you're still, as an adult or whenever, deciding for yourself what you're going to do with your body at that time. There's so many things that children do not have the ability to make decisions like that, or to go to college, or to drive a car, or to vote, or to be a doctor, or own a company. No, um, uh, human adult mind and a child mind are not the same. You are saying some of these psychological experts are trying to say that there's parts in an adult mind that they can't get over the childlike ways. And I'm saying in given situations, when they want to excel or bait somebody, they're fully aware and fully capable of acting like an adult whenever they want to. And when they choose not to, it's still their decision as an adult. And there's other professionals that feel like I do in the mental health care field. And I'm leaving it there because that's the facts. Jack. All right, everybody. I appreciate you joining me. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.